over the course of history, there have been many debates as to acceptable punishment for various crimes. And in dealing with superheroes, it's an issue that comes up very, very frequently as to what exactly should be done with the various villains that we actually see. And in many ways, how heroes deal with the various villains really indicate who the characters are and where they come from as far as a moral standpoint is concerned. And it's really interesting to see what steps characters will take as far as their concept of their own personal duties are concerned. Batman, for example, is someone who was absolutely traumatized when his parents were murdered before his eyes. And so for him, he took on the dark persona of the Bat to really kind of prevent such traumatic experiences from happening to anybody else. Superman, on the other hand, is more of he's a traditional Boy Scout okay, I use that, yes. But he's more of a traditional Boy Scout in the sense that there's always a way around whatever the predicament is. And he goes out of his way to find solutions to whatever the problems are. And being raised on a farm, he has a very powerful moral compass, which basically defines who he is and how he should react to the various situations and threats that he has to deal with. But whereas Wonder Woman, because we may as well have the Trinity, whereas Wonder Woman is not adverse to killing. I mean, she is a warrior first and a diplomat second. And what that means is she is not afraid to make the hard decisions. But at the same time, she is knowledgeable enough to know that the ultimate punishment is not always the best punishment. And so she does have a tremendous amount of wisdom, and a type of wisdom that is not totally limited by what could be described as a very potent moral compass. Now, having said that, I'm not saying that Wonder Woman is amoral. I'm simply saying that she knows when to kill and when not to kill. But as such, because she is someone who does have a tremendous amount of wisdom, she is the kind of person that will be affected with each death or each life that she would have to take. And she is able to, like Batman and Superman, she is able to find a solution in most cases. But unlike the other two, taking a life is not necessarily something that she wants to do. In the Kingdom Come series, which is a fantastic book by Mark Waid and Alex Ross, we were introduced to a Superman who would not kill, absolutely. And it got to the point where he even lost a lot of favor because he wasn't willing to make the hard choice. Or more accurately, the hard choice of letting someone live was decided to be unfavorable. And the young wannabe superhero that kind of came in and did the dirty deed of specifically killing a villain was a guy named Magog, M-A-G-O-G. And he was kind of... to say that he was scarred by it would be a mild understatement. Like I said with Wonder Woman, there are consequences to all of our actions. All of our actions. Every decision that we make, there are consequences to it. Whether it's just like deciding to use our time for this thing instead of this thing, there will be consequences. Maybe there'll be positive consequences, maybe there'll be negative consequences, but there will always be consequences. And it's naive to consider that we can just go about doing whatever we want without there being any consequences to those actions. In Magog's case, he killed he killed a villain, very very prominent, very in-your-face villain, and because of that, the immediate consequence from that is that public opinion was swayed into his favor. People saw the quick action as, oh yeah, that's the right thing to do. If we have a really bad villain, they have to die. And it's basically public opinion was saying it was good that Magog killed this guy. It was good that this guy took himself, backtrack. They basically said that it was good that he killed him because he was willing to do something that Superman was not willing to do. The only problem with that is that it created an anarchy concept. And anarchy is the idea where where everyone does whatever they want. And that would be a true anarchy. Society, it's basically the total disintegration of society. And that's pretty much exactly what Kingdom Come is all about. Based on this one action that Magog did, we saw all of the metahumans all around the world suddenly saying, oh, this guy killed someone without any punishment. Who's to say that I can't do that too? And it kind of set a precedent for, in many ways, a total dissolution of the entire world as it was established within this greater world. And one of the more personal consequences that Magog had to deal with was later on. I mean, he and his team were basically given carte blanche to take down any villain that they want. And against one villain, they basically took it on themselves to kill this guy. But in the resulting aftermath resulted in a huge, huge, huge explosion, which ended up killing millions. And so for Magog, he had to deal directly with the aftermath of that death begets death. If life begets life, then death begets death. And basically, by getting carte blanche to do whatever he wanted to do, Magog basically went down a path of total and utter annihilation. And I think that Wade and Ross did it very, very well by showing him the consequences of that action. 1 million souls, all because of him. It's a pretty extreme resolution, and it really is one of the huge questions that even today in the society that we live in, whatever your society, whether you're in the USA or in Canada or in Saudi Arabia or in Mexico or in Colombia or Brazil or China or Thailand, Cambodia, doesn't matter where you are. But the consequences of these will be weighing on our own morality. And it's always a question of whether or not imprison or death sentence. And whatever the results of those things will be. Society decides that. Society basically puts, or at least the people in charge, basically decide how those things are going to be. But for the individuals who are put in the situation of having to deal with it, it's always a question of how will that affect them. And I think that one of the greatest things about Magog is the fact that we are able to see consequences. We're able to see whether a character can grow out of the horrors that they've committed and move into a higher tier of retribution. And by higher tier, I mean like a more moral tier rather than just like whatever it is. But yeah, Magog is a fascinating character because he is a walking embodiment of morality and of that question of whether or not heroes should kill. And when exactly do they draw the line? If a hero does kill, when exactly do they draw the line between hero and villain? And it's a huge question that will keep us stumped pretty much as long as we have heroes to look up to. Anyway, food for thought. Have a great one.